be back in black.
You know who really taking over the neighborhood? Squirrels.
Squirrel.
Welcome to another episode of the Black Codes Podcast. My name is Trevor Gwynn. I am one piece of the Black Codes puzzle. I'm very excited about who we have with us today. This person that I've known for
About a year and a half, almost 2 years now.
man, I feel like it's been longer than that. How long was Wisconsin, bro?
Man, we old people, so everything feels like yeah.
I've had the pleasure of knowing Rob for I know at least one good year that we've like really kicked it. Before that, he was really always busy, and I think that's the story in my eyes. That's the story of Rob. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Collins. Rob, you, if I were to describe you, it would be hustle all day and all night. Like, really surprised you made it like to now, but thank you. But I think that's just been like really the MO of what your story is, like not being afraid of work.
Right.
I have a few theories about like what fuels all that. Specifically, you being like Mississippi, Memphis native.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that definitely plays a huge role in it. But tell us a little bit about yourself and about your journey.
My journey was a little bit of a different journey. We can kind of start off from childhood. I hope everyone is okay with this being an hour long. I like to talk. Born in Mississippi, raised in Memphis, of course. Originally, I was just an average kid. I grew up playing sports, played football in middle school through high school, got to college, did 1 year down at Delta State in Cleveland, Mississippi. Shout out the Fighting Okra. Stayed there a year. I was actually going to be a pre-pharmacy major. That didn't work out because I realized I, one, don't like medicine, two, don't like cold places. So it's like I got to be in a white coat all day, cold, standing up, 7 pills. I don't want to be like, that's not the lifestyle I want to have. So I made the transition, came to Nashville my sophomore year. This was 2013, so Nashville was still kind of, Nashville didn't hit that boom yet.
And this was TSU.
That's why I came to TSU. Came to TSU in 2013, my sophomore year. Didn't know anything about computer science. I actually came over on a whim because a bunch of my high school teammates came here and they were like political science, law, more of like the liberal arts background. And I was the only one that was like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll give it a try. Like I grew up playing computer games. I was a big RuneScape fan. So I always have been around technology. And I was, of course, the local neighborhood router fixer. So anytime the Wi-Fi went out, unplug, replug, test it, everything works. Now I'm like baby Jesus. From that point on, just, I guess, to talk about the hustle piece, man, I just like doing stuff.
Yeah.
Like you from Memphis, you know how we grew up.
I feel like as far as like the DIY, like the irons that you have in the fire at any given point,
right,
ranges from metalwork, woodworking,
planting, fishing.
Like honestly, shoot, I thought that was your main gig for a while. And like if anybody asks, you do like coding on the part time.
All right.
But yeah, you from TSU, like that's really surprising because I start to hear the commonality between how a lot of black developers got into tech,
right.
And it was just like a level of engineering that was really, on the most part, like just kind of troubleshooting the most basic things. Exactly. Like your folks' computer went out and
you gotta make some shit.
Like, yeah, we not paying for no technician. I got 2 children right here. Like, if that's not country living, like you know what I'm saying?
Work right here, if you can tap it and fix it, you can call them.
Yeah.
If I can't shake it and it works,
yeah,
she calling on me.
And like you learn something like in the process, and then what's really crucial is like within those times you're allowed to make your best mistakes. Really, I feel like look, you know, either I'm gonna fix this or y'all gonna have to come up.
Funny story, right? I actually got a story about that. I was still in Mississippi, so I was like maybe 9 or 10. Man, tell me why I erased every single system folder file on my grandmama's laptop because she couldn't find her cursor.
See?
And I was like, you know what? Let me plug in a mouse because the trackpad wasn't working. I wasn't smart enough at the time to be like, hey, check device manager. Just restart the computer, kid. And it was like, there's a virus. I'm gonna get rid of it. Man, I erased every Windows folder. When I say I got yelled at for like 2 months straight.
It's funny you say that. Would you rather break multi-million-dollar company's database or your grandma's computer?
Oh, grandma for sure. Grandma not taking me to court. I know. Grandma not taking me to court.
You said at the time it felt like it was the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like
you don't want me to face of data integrity. They put my picture up and see it. Like this guy lost everything. Negative. No, I'm sorry, Mama. I'm sorry, Mama.
He said, "And run Rob."
Yeah. Man, you think I'm out here with Anderson Cooper trying to explain how I messed up the entire world. Not gonna be me.
Yeah, but I feel like it like nonetheless prepared you for like, okay, like failure just means that like I didn't get it on this first round,
right?
And like I get to try it again. And I feel like for you, that's almost amplified like that mixed with the discipline and teamwork that comes with like sports, like being in being in sports and especially like football, like just kind of created who you are today.
It was actually more so like I had an active father, but not as active of a father as like most, like the general sense of an active father. Mm-hmm. So I was actually raised by my grandma. Most people don't know, when I was born, my mother actually had a car wreck. She was in a coma for 6 months, and then it took her a while to kind of get her bearings right. Because once you go into that kind of vegetative state, she had to come out and had to relearn how to talk, how to walk. She still doesn't have her equilibrium, so I was raised with my grandmother. And I guess the ability or the confidence that I would say I have from making mistakes comes from my grandmother. Because she used to always tell me, like, she's like, boy, you can be stupid, but you can't be stupid forever. Yeah. To where she would tell me to do stuff that she knew I couldn't do, allow me to fail, and then used to like comfort me. Like she didn't coddle me in the sense of like, oh, it's okay, baby. But she was like, well, what did you learn? I was like, well, I can't do this. And she's like, what are you gonna do different? Oh, well, I'm gonna do this different. And she was like, you just did something that most people can't do, which is, one, do something that you don't know how to do, fail, assess, and then come back and make change to it. Yeah. Because life is essentially like that, to where you're gonna fail 70% of the time, but it's like that 70% builds the extra 30. Yeah. And then football's one of those things. It was like, I guess it gave me the mental toughness. Like you grew up in Memphis, like our coaches were very animated. You talking about 10, 11, 12-year-olds, and we're being treated like men. Not saying that's the standard, but my coaches at a very young age made us feel accountable, because he made it very clear, like, we're playing a dangerous sport. You can lose your life. You miss a block here, you get him hit, he gets hurt, he can't play anymore. To where we were 12 and we thought it was a game, but he made us take everything as if our lives depended on it. Because, on the field it did. So it was a combination of those two, just like the competitive nature from sports, and then the confidence that my grandmother instilled in me to kind of take things on that I didn't know how to do.
Okay, so fast forward that to first experience, well, your college experience. Right. Now this first year, am I hearing this right? The mascot was the okras?
All right, so we got to get into the fight okra.
Okay.
So if you're familiar with Delta State, they're the Delta State Statesmen. They were so garbage when the team first started, because we were green. They said that it looked like wet noodles on the field fighting. So the actual name is the Delta State Statesmen, and so it's the Delta State Statesmen, but the nickname is the Fighting Okra, right?
Fighting Okra. Okay.
Right, and it's it was bad.
Shout out to the Fighting Okra.
Okay. Yeah, it was bad. Cause like I was excited. I was like, I'm gonna play college ball. My dad was like, shut up, Okra.
Like, I know you're not.
Like, you not gonna support me? Pops, like, firstborn son. Like, that hurt me. He was like, boy, you got it.
So you did your stint there.
Yeah.
Then you came to TSU.
Mm-hmm.
The HBCU experience for you, especially like in the tech space.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like starting out?
It was very. At that point in time when I joined, TSU maybe had, and computer science is a relatively young degree anyway. Like I think it's maybe 30-something years old, from my research of it or my knowledge of it. Right. So at that point in time, TSU maybe had a computer science for a decade. So it wasn't as formal as a lot of the bigger schools were, but it was one of those places to where it was such an intricate group, because you only had about 6 teachers.
Yeah, and I would imagine y'all were.
Oh yeah, we was in the bottom. We weren't even engineering building. We was in the bottom of the health science building on one floor. We were literally, you had to get on the elevator, and go down a level to the basement to where the computer science department is.
Struggle breeds success.
Oh no, but it was lovely because it was so intimate. I mean, being in the class to where my senior project class, everyone in that class, I had my intro to computing class with. So it was extremely intimate. I loved it. I mean, I loved everything about it because even if, and I'm not gonna say I was an A student at all. Like I was actually a very middle of the road student, but I always made sure I was always involved in everything, whether it was the coding club, the coding team, our AAA Extreme doing the coding challenges. NSB was also a big thing. So it was more so the intimacy, the networking that you got from it, and it was just, it was a calling environment to where you was always okay with making mistakes.
Yeah, I would. Like, would you agree that like the people over anything, like in those situations, really make those experiences kind of happen? Yeah. Like, because obviously you have places that have much better resources, but like, and that, not to say that it doesn't play a part, but like as soon when you have like, you know what I'm saying, like an environment as intimate, or like individuals who, you know, have become legends, like pretty much they can take, you know, little, you know what I'm saying, they can take wet noodles and
and make a Picasso, right?
Right.
The thing about the HBCU culture is, or just black culture in general, we're survivors. And so where the biggest advantage I say I have on 99% of job sites, that's not to say I'm better than anyone, right? It's like when stuff hit the fan, you don't cower away from it. Especially when you grow up in an environment to where something is always happening, or you grow up in an HBCU to where you don't have the greatest resources. So when I got to a Snyder Electric or Alliance Bernstein, I had all these plethora of resources. I'm like, y'all can give me all this, along with all this that I learned? Oh, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy because I had the resources and the ability to adapt that I'm not gonna say other people don't have, but it's like if you come from an institution to where all the resources was available, everything was always there, you're not going to know how to survive when the business changes.
Yeah.
And the business changes every day.
Yeah. I think some of the key, like the key traits that really help me, and this is what I tell those who like ask me as far as like when it comes to problem solving for me, it's like one, patience. The main thing, patience with myself.
Oh, yeah.
Because like I have to slow things down is to get to a state where I'm observant, especially when it comes to like looking at code and things like that. I was like, look, I prepare anyone, like this might take all day. We gonna get the answer with it, you know what I'm saying? Like, but this might take a little bit of time. And I think that's, you know, as you practice it, you get better and better at it.
Right.
But what comes with practice is being able to have those environments like a HBCU where you can like, hey, we're gonna mess this up. Like, and that's all right.
But you're messing with people you cool with, right? You're messing with people who's not gonna like throw you under the bus.
Yeah.
So you lose that fear of, man, I don't want to be embarrassed in front of my classmates because I just failed this test, and it's like, well, I don't care. Like, what we forgot the calf?
Yeah.
Like, we don't like.
What's for lunch?
It's like what's for lunch? It was never an environment where we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect. Mm-hmm. We put pressure on ourselves to not quit, and even like my friends now, the biggest thing that we do is, I don't care how many times you don't get it. Once you tell me you done it, then I'm on your case. Mm-hmm. Like once you tell me like, nah, I got one friend trying to get in law school, and he was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna give up. Cuss it out. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you even saying to me right now? Yeah. That's not what it was built on. And the HBCU culture breeds that because we like, there's no room for that in our group, especially trying to get to where we're trying to go.
Yeah. Man, definitely need more support as far as like trying to get that stuff, trying to get them to a level to where we can get more, you know what I'm saying? We don't have to have like tight-knit groups of, engineers. We can expand off of what y'all built off of the curriculum that y'all gone through. Now fast forward, modern day grown man Rob.
Don't
out
say
here, three jobs Rob.
I am a child. I am a kid at heart.
So when you got out, like what was the first thing on your mind as far as like, all right, now I got, I know computer science. Right. Now what?
More so for me, it was, I guess it's never really been about the computers. For me, it was more so about how can I impact the people around me. Mm-hmm. So once I graduated, I wasn't more so looking for a job to like do stuff. I was looking for an ability or like a change to help people. Okay. my mom was always a big inspiration. My grandma was always a big inspiration. So it was like, all right, you're done with school. This is out the way. Now it's time for you to start paying those debts back.
Yeah.
I was raised on about first to whom much is given, much is expected. Because I felt like, hey, grandma built the basis. TSU added the polish. And now it's time for me to show my tail. To where it was the motivation to be like, I have to get my mother out of the situation. I have to get my grandma out of the situation. So I just did any and everything I could do. Man, I took however many jobs I can get. I had no shame. Call center, delivering food, whatever you needed. That's how I got the whole background with the with kind of the handyman stuff, because my dad was a mechanic and I kind of grew up a little bit in the handyman world. And I would have friends like, I need a TV mounted, or I need my tire changed. It's like, all right, cool. Whatever I could do to get anything. Like I was pushing baskets at Food Giant in Bordeaux. I love you. I will be back there. I love the Pick Fives. I'm coming back. I'll give you some big cake. Anything I could do. And I kind of got addicted to that. And so from that point on, it's always like this survivalist mentality. Like I cannot stop. If I'm bored, I'm not improving. And if I have any free time, there's something I could be doing to better myself.
Yeah. Does it feel like a double-edged sword sometimes? Because like usually that's, the weight is always upon your shoulders.
Right.
Yeah. And so do you ever like, some of the stuff that I see you do, it always feels like a relaxing, like especially when it comes to building stuff. Like that doesn't seem like it's work to you, like in a sense.
Nah. It's a double-edged sword. I say the two places that you kind of lose, to speak candidly, you lose the ability to involve other things or other people, right? So relationships suffer. Relationships with not just like other people, like relationships with family suffer. I'm not as communicative with my family as I need to be because I'm always working.
Yep.
But the thing about me always working is that I always know I'm doing something.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of like, I don't even think about it anymore. It's a lifestyle. And it's something that it's like, I guess I would say the anxiety of not doing something outweighs the actual doing something. Like if I'm sitting at home watching a TV show, I'm sitting here thinking like, man, I gotta clean the dishes. I need to go and clean it. Like I will look at a baseboard in my house and like, the whole house gets clean. If the baseboards are dirty, I'm washing the walls. I'm going out, like I'm finding something to do because I cannot deal with like the mental anxiety of like, there's things that I know that could be done and I'm not doing them. Yeah. Right, like I have to be, and it's like I'm not gonna wait on anyone to do something. It's like I have to be the one to do it. Like if someone don't do it, I'm going to do it.
Okay. Well, like peering into the mindset that kind of gives you a glimpse. Like now, like let's go through the day of Rob, like as a developer. Like
right.
What do you enjoy doing like the most as a developer, and then what are things that you wish you could probably change as far as when it comes to like software engineering?
The biggest thing I enjoy is because I lead a small team of developers now. It's actually not the developing piece, it's actually working with people. So I get the best part of my day is doing like the peer reviews or like the code reviews, or if someone asks me a question and I jump on a call with them and then like their world is saved. It's like, I just saved your day. Like that be like, it don't necessarily be the developing part, it'd be like, I just helped this person out that was lost on the road.
Yeah.
One thing I could change about software development, stop making, and we talked about this beforehand, stop looking at software development like it's a trade. Software development is an art form. And software development to me is something that, like, think about it in the sense of, I have to show this as a publication once I'm done with it. And I think that's something that if you tell someone, it's like, all right, you write this code, if I click this button and it works, that's not good enough. What if I had to, what if this breaks and then you're off in Tahiti, drinking a mojito, and I have to fix it? How frustrated am I gonna be with you when I look at this code? That's literally like, that's it, because it's like, and it not only helps you, it not only helps me help you, it helps us.
So like I guess the aspect of helping them think long term, because one thing that's going to be troubling, like you have to, at some point you have to like say, this is enough to put out.
Right.
But like also you have to keep the mindset of like, one, it doesn't have to be done, and two,
Yeah.
like usually the developer takes the extra step. Like I know I can, like usually the developers that you want is like, I can go back and make this better. Like,
Right.
as soon as I have time, like let me go back and improve upon this or see what I can change about this. Because you know, usually when you think in terms of, we were talking about this, well, business goals, it's, you know, corporations are
Right.
at minimum thinking like 5-6 years, you know, down the line, or 5, 10, 20
Oh,
years
yeah.
down
They
the
have-
line.
they have
Longevity
lifetime
is the
plans,
key,
right?
right? As far as growing them. So you're looking for people who kind of share that mindset, and it's almost like, depending on where you go, they care less about your technical expertise and more about like, you know, just problem solving.
Right,
like
right.
just problem solving.
And if anyone has been a developer or worked with an architect, I guarantee they would be like, the architect is sometimes the least technical person on the team. Like, and even, and architects get the knock of, and like, it's, if you're speaking in developer time, they'd be like, well, my boss really doesn't know how to code. But it's like, at that level, the day-to-day coding part isn't why they have that job. Because I just think that I was like, man, I have to show my boss how to do this. And then we get in architect meetings with the business, and he's conveying stuff and thinking about stuff, and he has the foresight to be like, what's the scalability? What is, like, what framework are we going to build this on? What's the upgradability of it? And it's like, I wasn't thinking about that. It's like, I was just thinking about, man, I got this simple task, I'm gonna kill it. He can't do this, I'm better than him. And then the whole time, it's an entirely different world or level that I'm not even thinking about. I was like, oh, really good devs are better at, and this is all my definition. I'm not saying what good dev is, right? Before I give you the comments. Foresight. It's like that foresight is what makes you a great developer.
Yeah. That's probably like a muscle that you have to flex, and like it could be like, well, a mix of intuition and then also experience.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Experience more than anything.
What I'll say. Okay, so you talked about your role as a team lead, and then one of the things
Right.
that you enjoyed was like helping other people figure out these problems, because
Exactly.
like that's problem solving to me in a sense as well. Like when that hit a nerve with me, because like teaching has been one of the best joys for me. Like I'm past, it's been a full year now. Surprised myself. But yeah, like to talk to that feeling, it's a joy to watch, you know, work through something with people,
Right.
to watch them accomplish it. And then it's just like kind of experience together. And we had a conversation with one of our previous guests, Mark Twain, as far as like I came from like a system engineer, system admin background, and back in those days, like you had just like these tech wizards who were kind of siloed as far as their position. They were off at their desk, and like all the code that they had was kept to themselves.
It's not gonna work.
And like my man, you had no documentation when somebody pulled through, and he was like, all right, like you pretty much rebuilding something from scratch.
Right.
And I think the one thing that I'm most proud of in our industry at this time is like breaking down those barriers as far as like the knowledge share and the knowledge gain, because that's one thing that continually attracts me to this industry.
Right.
As far as like, hey, you know what I know and I know what you know, and like it's gonna continue. Like I'm gonna share with you everything that I can, because at the end of the day, it's like you said, as an artist, the style is going to be different. How we apply the things that we learn are going to end up showing up different on the terminal. And so it's a real beautiful thing.
I got a
as far
question
as
for you. I'm flipping the switch.
Yeah, do your thing.
Now it's your turn to ask the questions.
Okay.
No. How do you feel that the landscape of development, or like, and this is a talk I had with one of the CIOs at one of my previous jobs was, the landscape of developers is changing. There's more people developing. There's more common people developing. How do you think that has affected that culture changing? Instead of having those siloed individuals to where everyone was a nerd, or like a Bill Gates, or like a Steve Wozniak, or a Linus Torvalds, to where that type of person doesn't exist in your modern coding class. How do you think that's contributed to kind of breaking the culture of?
I think the first thing that happens is like the presence, like, and what I mean by that is like all of us getting in the same room together. Because once you get in the same room with somebody, you're forced to recognize their presence. Like,
Right.
whatever it is. And then from there, communication comes in. And so just talking to people, you're gonna understand like, oh, we both from Memphis, like there's some commonalities that we share that just automatically like the other room ain't gonna know about, but we immediately get, but you start having overlaps and intersections of that. And so what that turns into is like, camaraderie, right? That turns into a level of camaraderie. But then after that, you start notice discrepancies and differences. And that's really where the idea is like, okay, well, I notice, you know, like you and me are both from Memphis,
Right.
but you know, somebody from Chattanooga might not recognize that. And it's like, we introduce them to the problems that come from where we're from, and they might have a solution that's used completely for something else. And like, we get to like, almost like pivot it or repurpose it into something that's like, hey, we can, you know, we can use that. And it's like, yeah, sure, we don't use it for, you know, nothing but this, but like you, at that point, that's where, you know, solutions are created. I'm using geographical locations as an example, but this can, you know, kind of overlap as far as like anything, race, ethnicity, like religion, like just problems that pop up from your day-to-day life that no one, that only the people that you hung around only had perspective to. And now you're introduced to this whole new world of perspective. And now people are able to like, oh, this is for, you know, that's when you get that feeling of like, oh, we helped each other solve this problem.
You bring in a different mindset, a different viewpoint on it.
And like you see it, like you literally see it every day, because one, tech has advanced so fast in its own right as its own industry, but now the tech virus has spread across other industries because like what we're doing is just it's unstoppable. And I think it will kind of permeate and manifest itself in really cool ways that I'm trying to, like, in my mind, where it's going. Like this last year I've been on the DevOps side, and that's been like the most amazing, because DevOps, when I come from a sysadmin background, again, I told you, like, we had that the silo mentality was kind of like, all right, I get the code and do my own thing. But like DevOps is a culture of like literally failing as fast as possible. And like, that is if I had a niche, like, I know how to F some shit up. Like, that's like, and then we rinse, repeat, do it again. We observe. It's like the advice your grandma said, like literally, like, what did you learn from that? And so as we continue to like push through that, I think we're only gonna innovate at a faster pace. And like it's not a surprise for us that it's in this industry at the rate we see it, especially if you've been around tech like 2-3 years. And you're just like, oh, this is just the way the culture is. Like, it moves fast, and it moves like it. You know, some things pivot off and outlier and not necessarily the best, but I think we specialize in like removing the fat as far as things that no longer serve us in this industry, and just moving straight forward with like, this is good. And as what's important is like continuing to bring on multiple perspectives of different people who don't, you know what I'm saying, who like might not necessarily want to do like coding or software development, but I truly believe like everyone still has a place in this industry just because of what and who it touches.